It is Monday, October 15th, 2018. Thank you all for tuning into the sneedmobiletech Patreon page. As well, for those of you that are seeing this on delayed release through the sneedmobiletech YouTube channel, thank you all for tuning in to see this episode. Today's episode is going to focus on a few topics. One is from the T-Mobile Sprint merger. We have some developments there. Also, I have a deal for you guys coming out of Boost that I wanted to make you aware of. And then also a little bit of news coming out of the next FCC spectrum auction. So I'll start first with the merger news. This is coming specifically from the T-Mobile camp. So as it pertains to the T-Mobile and Sprint merger, T-Mobile representation has just completed a presentation for the FCC in which they basically mapped out the network vision for the new T-Mobile combined network. Basically, their focus was a 5G roadmap. They wanted to make the FCC aware of what they wanted to do. I'm sure this was upon the request of the FCC, and of course, T-Mobile just wanted to comply with that request. And in terms of the merger itself, T-Mobile is basically trying to get across the idea that with this merger, they would have a much faster, higher capacity network than either would be able to do on their own. So whether T-Mobile on its own or Sprint on its own, together they are able to offer a much more comprehensive and competitive 5G network, which again, they're trying to say is good for the market, good for the American consumer, and so on. So I think what this means is them saying, you know, it's higher capacity, serve more customers, have better performance and things of that nature. And to that I just say, duh, it's not really a surprise. That's what they're claiming. We've been hearing that since day one of the proposed merger. But anyways, some of the positions that they addressed, the first thing was the spectrum, what they would do with it. So they basically laid out what the Sprint spectrum availability is, combined with what T-Mobile has specifically on their own. So they compared how they have different types of spectrum and what they could do with them. But they said, you know, combining Sprint's 2.5 gigahertz, which is used primarily for Sprint with its LTE, and moving forward it would be for its 5G. And then along with T-Mobile's 600 megahertz, you know, it would address the needs of both companies, which T-Mobile's deficiency here is capacity, and the 2.5 gigahertz from Sprint would address that. And of course, the coverage issues that Sprint has would be addressed by the 600 megahertz band 71 that T-Mobile is utilizing. So it would kind of be a best of both worlds. So together, all the 5G aspects for the network would be addressed. The second thing they also talked about was the refarming of spectrum. Collectively, how it would accelerate the rollout and deployment of the 5G network for the combined companies. So this would address all the mid-band issues that both companies would have. It would kind of, you know, together as a refarmed effort would make for a very comprehensive network. So you have the capacity, you have the speeds, as well as the mid-band coverage for the new combined company. And they're saying that by 2024, with the combined company, they would have a very comprehensive 5G network. Now, the third thing they addressed, this would be the speeds and the capacity. Basically, they were saying that, you know, with the combination of the networks, there would be up to 21 exabytes of 5G traffic monthly. I didn't even know exabytes existed. Sounds like a lot of data. So they're saying with the merger, they would be able to achieve consistently speeds averaging between a range of 451 megabits per second and 4.2 gigabits per second as an average range. So that would be pretty impressive. As of right now, currently, I think T-Mobile has an average throughput of 100 megabits per second, and Sprint has an average throughput of 116 megabits per second. So that would address those issues. The fourth thing they mentioned was they would be utilizing 11,000 of Sprint's macro and micro sites that are currently operational and would remain commissioned and operational moving forward. So that kind of tells you what they would be doing with what Sprint's current infrastructure has in place and how they would continue to use it. I think specifically they would use the macro sites that currently deploy 2.5 gigahertz and PCS spectrum. So trying to keep those sites specifically for capacity and speed. The fifth thing they also mentioned was 5G handsets, 5G devices. They were saying that adoption will be significant as of 2021, and the merger would improve 5G handset adoption by 10%. So they're saying it would kind of accelerate the growth, getting new technology in people's hands. So I think what's interesting about this particular proposition and this presentation that T-Mobile offered is T-Mobile can't say we need Sprint or we're going to fail. But on the other hand, Sprint can say, we need T-Mobile or else we're going to fail. So it's kind of interesting to see both sides of the coin there. But I think what T-Mobile has to be able to do is explain to the FCC and make sure they understand that T-Mobile has to prove the benefit to the United States of them having this merger with Sprint. You know, it has to be to the benefit of the citizens of the U.S. and it has to be proven that is going to improve the current situation of the four-carrier market. So if they're able to do that, I think they stand a good chance to get this thing going and the approval to happen, you know, at some point in 2019. And I think as of right now, things are looking pretty good for the merger. All right, moving over to the next piece of information, the next news. This is coming out of the FCC, basically. This is an extension of the last couple weeks where we had the announcement for the upcoming spectrum auction. So for those of you that are aware, it is scheduled for November 14th, 2018. So that puts it pretty much at a month from today. We already kind of know who's going to be involved. Verizon's going to be involved, AT&T, T-Mobile as well. No sign of Sprint in this. We also know that I think Dish, Windstream, Frontier Communications are also getting involved in this. And I think the only United States cable operator is going to be Cox that's going to be represented in this particular auction. So this is specifically a 5G spectrum auction, and those are the players we know involved. We now have word that there are going to be some smaller carriers, some regional carriers that are going to be participating in the auction. So you know, many of these smaller carriers and regional carriers have been actively testing 5G technologies. US Cellular was one of them. They have some very promising testing results within the 3.5 and 28 gigahertz bands. I think last year in 2017 and this year, they've been getting great results there. C-Spire has been experimenting and testing fixed wireless in the 5.8 gigahertz band, so they've been involved with that. Now, in terms of the upcoming auctions, we are specifically going to see bands in the 28 and 24 gigahertz ranges. We know that Union Telephone Company is now involved. For those that know, that is a company out of Wisconsin. I had to do some research on that. You have US Cellular, we have Ensight, which is also Wisconsin-based, and then Bluegrass, which is Kentucky, and Inland Cellular, which is a Washington State company. So we've got smaller regional carriers getting involved in this particular auction, which is kind of a big deal. Shows that they're going to be taking it pretty seriously. And they're going to be looking to get some 5G premium feature sets available to their customers. So things are heating up as of right now as we kind of approach within the next month for the auction. Now we see that regional carriers want to get in on some of this, you know, high capacity spectrum that they can use and offer to their customers at a premium. And I think this is indicative of fixed 5G coming for some of those rural and more isolated areas in those places like Kentucky and Wisconsin, Washington State, and so on. So it's kind of good to see, and it's going to be interesting to see when they get those things rolled out. Hopefully we'll see something by 2019, maybe a little bit later, 2020. All right, and the last little bit of news I'll give you guys today, this is a deal specifically coming out of Boost Mobile. So this is an online-only deal, so you'd have to do this completely through digital on the web. The offer is good starting, I think, October 12th, and you're good to sign up between now and I think November 5th. So it is a limited time offer. It is a bring your own phone special. It basically takes the $50 promotional cost of the line from Boost and it slices it in half. So you'd be paying $25 a month for the line. This does include taxes and fees. Some of the features that you'll be getting unlimited gigs, which we all know isn't truly unlimited, but it gets you unlimited talk and text. It includes voice roaming. You get 8 gigabytes of mobile hotspot LTE. Video resolution is set at 480p. 35 gig soft cap for deprioritization. You'll definitely have to check your phone for compatibility or eligibility on the Boost website to make sure that you can take your device there. From what I understand, it cannot be previously a Sprint device, or maybe it just has to be a paid-off Sprint device or something like that. I'm not sure. So you'll have to check your IMEI within the website to make sure it's compatible. You do have to order a SIM card. You do have to activate a line. So you can't be a previous customer. This is only available to new or port-in customers only. Now, overall, I think this is a pretty good deal for somebody that has relatively modest feature demands. Maybe you don't need the most high-end plans with all the special bells and whistles and features. But if you need a second line or you have very basic smartphone needs, this is on the Sprint network. So all things considered, I think this is actually a pretty good deal. So for that price, it's not really something that you could beat very often. So it might be something that you might want to consider. That's it for all the topics from the video. In the comment section below, you can tell me what you guys think about the news coming out of the Spectrum auctions. Maybe you are interested in this deal, and as well as the presentation that T-Mobile did for the FCC. Go ahead and give me your thoughts and opinions on anything mentioned in today's video. So that's it for this one. Thank you all for watching. Much appreciated. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the sneedmobiletech YouTube channel. Ding the bell to be notified whenever I upload new content. And if you haven't done so already, check out the sneedmobiletech Patreon page. I'll put a link in the description below. So thanks again for watching, and I will see you guys on the next video. Peace.